Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I was actually involved in the harmonization of CAN MARC and US MARC, which resulted in MARC 21. And I wanted to congratulate you on your move and your completion of your move to MARC 21 as well. What I'm going to be talking about here today is some of the mapping issues related to RDA and MARC 21. As Reinhold mentioned this morning, there's a little bit of confusion sometimes between what content standard is and what an encoding standard is. And I thought I'd start by just getting a few quick facts down relating to what is RDA and what is MARC 21. So RDA is a content standard. It is aligned with the FRBR and FRAD conceptual models. It's an element set that's compatible with MARC 21 element set, and it's independent of the format, medium, or system used to store or communicate data. And some of this you've already heard from Tom. MARC 21, on the other hand, is a standard for the communication of data in encoded form. The MARC 21 element set is compatible with ISBD AACR2 elements. It is independent of the storage or display of data, and it is not tied to any one content standard. So now I'll talk about the actual mapping of MARC 21 to RDA. It began in late 2006, and the activity was started by the JSC because what we wanted to do was look at the compatibility between RDA and MARC 21. And the first mapping, we realized there were some MARC 21 elements that we did not have in RDA. So we decided that we would look at that group and decide what to introduce into RDA. And as a result of that, there are 3 new elements introduced in RDA: scale of graphic content, date, time, and place of an event, and preferred citations. Tom mentioned some of the challenges with regard to mapping, and as he said, these are challenges that are faced whenever anyone takes a look at mapping between two standards. I wanted to bring to your attention some specific examples. What you've got here, and I hope you can see it, is the mapping of the 245 title statement to RDA elements with regard to title. So you can see here that subfield A, title, maps cleanly to the RDA element title proper, but subfield B, remainder of title, actually maps to 3 different RDA elements: parallel title, other title information, and parallel other title information. So it's not a clean mapping in this case. On the other hand, if we look at subfield N and subfield P, this is a case where MARC 21 is actually more granular than RDA because these map to the RDA elements title proper. Looking at our next example, this is a mapping for the 300 physical description. And once again, subfield A maps cleanly to the RDA element extent. But 300 subfield B, which is other physical details, contains many RDA elements. So once again, the level of granularity in RDA is finer than it is in MARC 21 in this instance. And here again is another example of a 500 note, which actually contains many RDA elements. Once again, RDA elements set is more granular in this regard than MARC 21. I should mention that in RDA, the elements map here in 500 note when we've got an RDA element that is actually an expansion of the element. So whenever RDA has an element for details on, it would map to the 500 general note. So we're not really calling these notes as they are in the ISBD Area 7, but this is a place where we will provide more information about a particular element. Now I'll talk about the RDA MARC working group, which was formed in March 2008. And the charge of this group was to develop proposals for changes to the MARC-21 formats to accommodate RDA. The membership includes LC, LAC, Library and Archives Canada, British Library, the Deutschen Nationalbibliothek, OCLC, BTLS, ALA representatives, and I am the JSC liaison to the group. And I should say we were very happy that Reinhold joined the group. It was a great addition to this group. Just to mention, in Canada, we use the Canadian Committee on MARC to develop the Canadian positions on proposals that go to MARBI, and it's similar to your expert group. I wanted to give you an idea of some of the discussion that we had about how are we going to approach this task within the group. What should be our working principles? And I've listed them here. We decided that MARC-21 needs to maintain neutrality and flexibility concerning which types of records, authority, bibliographic, or holdings, map to which FRBR entities. MARC-21 needs to remain neutral and flexible with respect to database designs that ingest MARC data. And it should support enterprise use of any of the flat file, linked authority, and bibliographic and relational object-oriented database structures. And you saw previously how Tom showed us that this could work. Another thing that the RDA MARC working group decided was that MARC-21 will support the granularity of RDA data following an assessment of the benefits for end user and consideration of cost implications. We are very cognizant that when we introduce changes into the MARC-21 format, there are cost implications. So we wanted to be careful about how far we go to support the granularity of RDA data. I also wanted to mention our discussions around coded values. There is a close compatibility between MARC and RDA vocabularies. Actually, a lot of the RDA vocabularies are based on the MARC values in the fixed fields. We have made some extensions to the 07, 08 to accommodate RDA terms, but most RDA control value vocabularies are open. So therefore, we can't really match in the fixed field area all of the RDA terms. So if there is no corresponding code, the RDA term will be encoded in the variable field, for example, the 300 subfield B, and that goes back to the mapping that I showed you previously, where you saw that there were quite a number of RDA elements mapped to 300 subfield B. I wanted to give you some sense of the changes, the approved changes to MARC-21 that we have to date. We have 3 new elements in RDA to replace the general material designation that we used in AACR2. These are content type, media type, and carrier type. And what we decided was, even though some of the terms contained in those elements are in the 07 fixed field or the 08 fixed fields, we thought that it might be cleaner to define 3 new fields in MARC-21 to accommodate the RDA element.